Dubai's real estate story is no longer just about towers and transactions, it's about influence, global capital, digital storytelling, and timing the market before the market even knows it's moving. Every week, billion-dirham deals are signed quietly behind closed doors. But a new generation of real estate leaders is changing how property is sold, marketed, and understood. Today, on F360 Lifestyle, we are having an in conversation with one of the most recognizable faces in Dubai real estate. A broker, a content creator, and a market insider who has built trust at scale. Farooq Syed is the founder and CEO of Springfield Properties, one of Dubai's leading real estate brokerages. With a team of over 200 professionals and annual transactions exceeding 3 billion dirhams, Springfield works closely with top developers including Emaar, Damac, Sobha, Dubai Properties, Danube, and more. Beyond deals, Farooq runs one of Dubai's largest real estate YouTube channel, shaping how investors, end users, and global buyers understand the city's property market. Today, we go beyond listings and luxury. We talk strategy, mistakes, market signals, and what's really driving Dubai real estate right now. Hi Farooq, welcome to F360 Lifestyle. How are you doing today?
Doing good. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And how's your day been so far? I'm pretty sure you must be busy.
It was a busy day today. Today we had our morning meeting, so just got done with that. And it's a good start of the year. We're all pumped and positive about 2026. So yeah, it's our first weekly get together of the new year's.
Nice.
So we're very excited for what's ahead for Dubai.
You've built one of Dubai's most visible real estate platforms, both on ground and online. Before the billion dirham deals and the YouTube success, just take us back. What first drove you to real estate and what convinced you that Dubai was the city to bet on long term?
So I stumbled upon real estate as a career choice. So when I was in university, my father was investing in Dubai real estate market since the early days of Dubai, which is from 2000, 2001, 2002, since those years. So it was a boom time in Dubai in 2006, 7 and 8 when we really started, when I started in Dubai's real estate market, and I was still studying at that time. And after I graduated, we went through one of the cycles, which was the downward cycle of 2008, 9 and 10, and I graduated in 2010 and I couldn't find a job. So I tried, and in the end, real estate was a backup option at the time. And I was a fresh grad, really excited to start my journey. And fate led me to real estate. So this was really like a backup option when I started off. And luckily, the real estate market treated me very, very well. We made good money. The company grew from strength to strength. And of course, it just was a natural progression and transition into this field. And now there's no looking back. We've done phenomenally well. Our company's been, awarded as one of the most successful real estate brokerage companies in Dubai. The city has grown at a tremendous pace as well. And so have us and our company with the growth of Dubai. So luckily, there's no looking back for us. And the future looks very bright for Dubai as a city and hopefully for us as an organization as well.
Definitely, inshallah. And it's so inspiring, like something which you've never planned. That's when, I feel destiny plays the role.
Yeah.
That's even more interesting when you plan something and something else works out better for you.
Yeah. So we stumbled upon this, but of course, there's a lot of plans and a lot of planning. Today my morning meeting topic was about planning the year ahead. So every year, we put down our plans, pen to paper, and decide what we want to achieve in the coming year. So, of course, in the beginning, like I said, I stumbled upon this. But of course, the first couple of years of success led me to understand that there is no other field that I would be, doing as good in. And there was such an opportunity to make uncapped commissions. And this sort of money back when I was just 21, 22 years old. So I realized very early on that this is the field that I'll work long term in. And of course, as the company grew from success to success, the plans formulated and came together.
Yeah, definitely. And it shows, like, I have been following you since a very long time. And
Thank you very much.
Like, honestly, I don't think so. I really follow many people in real estate. And I remember even back in India when I used to watch your reels and they used to be really good. And then,
Thank you so much.
It's so visible from your personality that you must be very good at what you're doing.
I mean, I enjoy it. Social media is something that luckily I caught on the bandwagon relatively earlier on when I started creating content on real estate. This was pre-COVID when I started my YouTube channel. There weren't as many real estate brokers that were in this space. So luckily I had an early mover's advantage, and it's something I naturally enjoy. I naturally enjoy meeting new people. I don't mind the cameras. This is something, I get a chance to express myself, and it becomes a great platform for me as well to enhance our brand, enrich our customer database, and people like yourself, good people like yourself sitting all around the world get a chance to see a little bit of Dubai, which I think is a gift that we as influencers or real estate influencers possess, and that's what's helping put Dubai on the global map as well.
True, definitely. Springfield Properties started in 2008, right around the time when global markets were under serious stress.
That's right.
What were the hardest early lessons you had to learn building a brokerage in a city that moves as fast and competitively as Dubai?
So luckily, now that I look back on that time, we started at a time where the Dubai market was at its ultimate peak. So March 2008, we formed the company. And right after summer, the Lehman Brothers crash happened, the global financial market meltdown. Overall, Dubai just, not just Dubai, but globally, the world's economy came tumbling down. So we learned some very hard lessons and harsh lessons right in the beginning. When you start off a business and, you have all these plans and everything comes crashing down, you learn a lot from that.
Definitely.
And we learned how to survive in a tough time. We learned how to thrive in a tough time. A lot of those lessons early on that do not take this market for granted. Manage your finances, because at that time, a lot of our friends and people we knew from the real estate fraternity had to run away overnight. There were developers that, were living in these massive houses and building these massive towers that couldn't manage their cash flows at the time of 2008. So we realized certain lessons early on that, wherever you're investing and how are you managing, because running a real estate show is a very expensive business now in Dubai. Managing cash flows and, keeping a fund for bad times is what we learned very early on. And those are tough lessons in business. When everything is going well, everything is doing so well, you're just like going from strength to strength. A lot of people, spread their wings a little too far and wide. And in our business, we can have, a few months sometimes of a slowdown where expenses don't slow down. And there might be cash flows, but they're coming in the future. But if you don't manage all of that well enough, a business can collapse. And I think those lessons we learned very early on because of the situation that we found ourselves in the 2008 financial meltdown.
Was there ever a moment when growth felt uncertain, when the market tested your conviction and you had to decide whether to scale back or double down?
So we had multiple market cycles that I've seen. So one was the 2008 downturn, which was soon after we started the business, which taught us the importance of cash flow management, of working in a down market. A lot of brokerage companies just shut down and they never came back to this business. But even though we had a couple of years where we had to shut down the business because our partners didn't want to continue. Okay. And then we restarted the business without our partners, which obviously at that time was a big setback for us. But we decided that no, we want to do this business. We have to manage ourselves in a better way. That was one market cycle we saw. Then we saw the acceleration of the market around the time when Expo 2020 was announced in Dubai in 2014. I remember those days, those were the heydays of off-plan sales as well. So we saw that market boom that happened between, let's say, 2013 up to 2015-ish, around that year. Then we saw 3-4 years of a sluggish market. I wouldn't say it was a downturn, but 2016, 17, 18, 90, up until COVID, the market was relatively slow. It wasn't that boom market of 2013, 14 and 15 where everything you were launching was getting sold out. Then of course we saw a different cycle where the developers started giving you long-term payment plans. They were just like, the big players had to reduce prices overall, which was good deals for buyers. Then in 2020 we saw the time of COVID, where there was so much uncertainty. So we saw that boom, then we saw a little bit slowdown, then we saw a little bit of a correction that happened in 2020, and then from 2020 onwards, 21, 22, 23, 24, even now 25, we're seeing a boom market. So we've seen separate scenarios of Dubai real estate market. And, luckily we've taken advantage of these growth periods as well. We, between 2015 and 2020, we grew. However, we are very cautious. We're very, very cautious that, should we invest, go double down now or not? 2021, we saw the market. We said, this is the opportunity. We moved to this office. This was previously a 10,000 square feet office, which was the 3 offices put together. Now we've just expanded 2 months ago with another 4,000 square feet. So now we've going more and more aggressive. Now, just literally last week, I told you we opened up this office, and we opened up our first office in Abu Dhabi as well. Yeah. So we're opening up Abu Dhabi because we're seeing, the market is doing very well. We are in a good position right now. We need to take advantage of this time. So we are doubling down now on our bet that Dubai and the UAE will continue to grow like this. And of course, all the bets we've taken are very calculated, because at the end of the day, I realize that we're over 200 people now that rely on certain key decisions that we make. Our consultants are relying on us, our marketing support, our infrastructure support, our organizational support. So, we are responsible for our people. So all our decisions can make a massive make or break situation for our broker. So we have to take, now we have to take decisions very cautiously, thinking about all, our stakeholders as well. So making decisions now has a lot of consequences, but at a market like this, at a situation like this, we are very aggressive as well in our outlook as to what UAE has to hold for us and for the future of Dubai's real estate market. So we're really doubling down. So we've seen the different market cycles, and hopefully, this current market cycle that is going on, will lead Dubai to a different city. We will change. I'm very confident that over the next 15 years in Dubai, the city will no longer be like what we remember it to be. When the city grows from 4 million to 8 million people, this is going to be a Dubai, I don't know, I wouldn't call it 2.0 because I feel like Dubai's evolved enough time, maybe a Dubai 5.0. So there's going to be a lot of growth, a lot of development, and hopefully we're all, ready to take advantage of this next growth cycle.
True. And I'm pretty sure, being in all the situations that you have dealt from 2008, it must have helped you thrive in every situation, and it will definitely help you in future, whatever is coming.
Course,
and so that's really helpful for anyone who is getting into a real estate market in Dubai. And
you have to tread carefully, and you have to understand that when the times are good, don't just go out and spend everything you have on marketing or just expanding operations without keeping a good backup, because how things might change, maybe not just for the market but for the company, you have to be ready for that financially.
Definitely.
When you're running a real estate company.
I think COVID was itself a big test for the entire world, where we didn't know what's going to happen.
We saw the number of brokers from whatever number it was to go down to nearly half that number. A lot of brokers and a lot of brokerage companies had to close down. A lot of developers that I know myself had to stop at that time, and unfortunately, if they just continued, they would have become something huge with this market cycle. But it's just about, if you manage your cash flows right, if you manage your business well, you can take advantage of the boom and of the slowdown phases as well.
So looking back now, what decision early on made the biggest difference to where Springfield Properties stands today?
I think our focus on marketing and social media really made a difference. I think we caught on to the early cycle of building an infrastructure to support our agents when it comes to social media. We have a lot of our agents that are now celebrities in their own right through the infrastructure and the marketing support from a social media perspective that Springfield was able to give its brokers. Because in today's market, there's a lot of brokerage companies. The other day someone told me there's 7,000 brokerage companies in Dubai. I was shocked. I said, how many have you heard of? Maybe not more than maybe 50 good companies in Dubai. I'm proud to say we are among the largest ones now, but there aren't too many brokerage companies that we've heard of. Why? Because marketing is becoming more and more expensive. True. Building this infrastructure is becoming very expensive. More than expensive, you can't get a big enough office at the right price which you can start a company with. So luckily we made some good decisions, like betting on social media, providing an infrastructure for our agents to build their personal brands, and growing our actual physical infrastructure at the time that we did, which was 3 years ago. Now with the new office rents and the prices of the offices, getting a space like this cost over 60 to 70 million dirhams.
True.
To invest that kind of capital on starting a brokerage company at this scale, and you won't see the profits for another 4, 5, 6 years. So it's becoming increasingly difficult to start at a time like right now. So luckily we did this at a time where it was still possible. The right bet at the right time allowed us to grow at this pace.
Especially around COVID, all that people were doing was watching reels.
Yeah. I always say my YouTube channel grew a lot during COVID, because during COVID is when, my YouTube channel grew from maybe 1,000 subscribers to 100,000 subscribers. Wow. After COVID. 2021, I remember I got the plaque from YouTube for 100,000 subscribers. This was within that year of COVID. I think everyone at home was watching YouTube videos and just watching homes, the houses in Dubai. And of course, I was showcasing a lot of the luxury listings and a lot of the luxury properties that I was selling. Houses in Dubai Hills, Palm Jumeirah, Emirates Hills, District 1. That was my forte, and a few penthouses that I showcased on the channel as well. And of course, people love watching luxury houses and luxury homes. And Dubai itself is becoming, a global brand in terms of a city. So people were very, very interested to watch that, and luckily I caught that wave of COVID.
Yeah, and definitely that time everyone had a lot of time. Even like people having their, multiple businesses all over the world, they had all the time to sit and watch those reels. What is happening?
What do you do? We're all working from home. I remember we were doing all our meetings on Zoom, sitting down in our pajamas at home, having all our marketing and all those meetings online, so it was a tough time, but an interesting time that we can look back on now.
Yeah. So rental yields in Dubai remain among the highest globally. Do you think yields will normalize lower over time, or this is a structural advantage the city will retain?
Till now, we're seeing it as a structural advantage.
Okay.
We're seeing that rents that used to be, let's say for a townhouse, you could rent something for 100,000. Now the rents have now stabilized. Even the prices have gone up, but even the rents have gone up. Even today, if you buy a townhouse in Dubai, you can get anywhere between 6 to 7% rental return. Even when the prices were half, the rental return was 6 to 7%. The prices have doubled. They're still 6 to 7%. However, I do believe as the land in Dubai starts to, complete in terms of construction and more communities are built, then we will come to an area of time of saturation in terms of new constructible land.
True.
What I mean by that is, let's say a city, like for example, we take Bombay. There's no more land. What are you going to build? So what happens is property price keeps going up, but rents can't possibly go up because then the affordability is not there.
True.
So what happens is the prices go up, but the rents stay down. So the rental yield is 1%, 2%, 3% sometimes. Why? Because there's no more property, prices are just going up, and there's no more new property that's entering into the market, and people who are there afford to keep paying double and triple the rent. So there's a little bit of a stagnation in terms of the rental return. In Dubai, however, supply is coming because we have new and new lands that are being developed, new and new areas that are being developed. Okay. So the rental yields will remain healthy, in my opinion, because property prices are growing, but they're not going to keep growing like in terms of properties becoming 10x from the price today. They're growing as the city is growing in a controlled fashion, because Dubai Land Department keeps a very close check on the amount of supply that's coming and the amount of demand that is coming. Dubai as a government has a big role to play in the real estate market. Dubai Land Department is overlooking each and every metric. I was sitting with one of the senior top positions of Dubai Land Department. They said, we know exactly all the data of people that are moving into the city, about the units that are going to get handed over, about the expected rentals that we expect from this amount of supply that is coming up. So they want to maintain that balance, because for Dubai as a city, it's very important that the investor that is coming and investing in Dubai makes money. If the investor stops making money, the next wave of investors will stop. And if Dubai wants to keep growing at this pace, it needs to make sure the investors are protected.
So that's why, a lot of people, even from London, I went through one article once, like a lot of businessmen, they're planning to shift to Dubai now.
There's been a huge, how many people have moved from, there's an exodus of rich people from the UK all moving down to Dubai. So I think this pattern is going to continue, because the whole world is not doing that well financially. If you look at Europe, Europe is on a downward decline. UK as a country is on a downward decline. Dubai has this knack of taking advantage of, such global situations. The other day there was this, of course, all this news coming about Venezuela, and somebody in the office was like, oh, so are we going to see all the rich people from Venezuela go to Dubai? I said, man, you know what, it's true, that's what's happened. Whenever there's been any global crisis, all the rich people have moved down to Dubai. Whether it's east, west, north, south of the world, doesn't matter. Any continent, any country, people have moved to Dubai. So because of the lifestyle and the obvious advantages, people with money have it very, very well in Dubai. And now Dubai is also attracting a different kind of people, because now Dubai is no more as cheap as it used to be. 10 years ago, Dubai was relatively affordable for someone to come to the city from any country around the world and start his life. Today, for that young individual to come down to Dubai and start a life from zero is becoming very tough. So Dubai is now in this last wave of growth in the last 2 to 3 years, has attracted more wealthier people. People from Europe, people who have the affordability. They're the ones that are coming. So that's the demand that we're seeing within the real estate market, is also for bigger properties, waterfront properties, villas, townhouses. The buyer pool is becoming more wealthier of people that are buying real estate in Dubai. So this next wave as well that we're going to see of Dubai, I think is going to be much bigger, and we're going to see Dubai attracting a lot more higher quality of people and talent from all around the world.
Yeah, and now like all these developers, they are collaborating with luxury brands like, Jacob & Co, Bugatti, all these brands. So definitely people around the world who are into luxury, people want
now, we were discussing in our annual report of Springfield, we mentioned that luxury segment is, of course, is one of the biggest segments in Dubai, but branded residence has become its own segment.
True.
Previously in countries you'll have like 2 or 3 branded residences within the luxury segment. No, but now we have an entire segment which we call the branded residences. Dubai has become the city with the highest number of branded residences in the world. I mean, just imagine, like, that in itself is a big feat. Previously I think it was Miami that had the highest number of branded residences. Today Dubai has become the city with the highest number of branded residences in the world. That tells you the kind of buyer pool that is coming to Dubai. There are people that want luxury, that want brands.
What signals do you personally watch to stay ahead of the market before trends become obvious?
So we always look for value for clients. When you look at a trend in the market, let's say there's a trend going on for branded residences, you can't just blindly follow that trend just because it's a new trend in Dubai to go. We look at genuine value for our clients. What is our job as a real estate broker? It is to find value for our clients. We have the luxury of selling whichever developer we feel like and what we believe in. So I can sell you Emaar, Damac, Sobha, Danube, Benghazi, whoever I believe is providing the best value at this time. So for us, it's very important to identify those pockets in the market that can bring a maximum growth for our clients. So I always tell my agents as well, do not just blindly follow trends. Not just because some realtor on Instagram came and said buy here, so we think that, oh, everyone should buy here. No. Our job is, because we're not physically building a house, we're not physically putting the brick and mortar together. People are coming to us for our advice, for our knowledge, for our skills in terms of identifying the right property to buy in.
Exactly.
So for a broker, it's very important that we need to identify the best value as of right now or whenever that you're trying to sell a property. I was talking to one of our clients right now in the other room before this podcast, and I was telling him anyone that's invested in Dubai over the last 10 years has overall, I would say 95% of investors in Dubai in the last decade have seen a lot of growth in their investments. No one has seen a downward in the last 10 years. Everyone has either gone up 3x, 4x in certain cases 1.5x compared to what they invested. So a million grew to 1.5 million for a few, that 1 million grew to 2 million for a few, that 1 million grew to 4 million for a few. It just depended on where and what they invested in, and whether they invested in the right property, with the right developer, with the right community, with the right payment plan. Where they invested made the difference. But everyone has seen winnings, but if you get good advice and good direction, it can change the path of your financial future. So it's a big burden. I always tell my agents as well, it's a big burden for you as a broker, because some person is coming to you with his life savings and he's asking you, Anush, where should I invest this money? Should I buy here or should I buy there? And if you're just selling him something with no knowledge, just looking at your commission check, that I just push him to buy something. No, this is a big responsibility. If they lose money tomorrow because of your poor advice, this is a big burden that we carry as real estate brokers. So if you think of it like that, and you focus as a real estate broker or a real estate professional in finding the value, I think it's much more important than just chasing any blind trend.
Definitely. And that's how we can even build a long-term client. Like if you go to a developer, they're going to sell just what they're selling.
What they have to sell.
But people go to brokers because they are selling from different developers and they have knowledge of every property each developer is selling.
Exactly.
So it's more about them giving they are also the consultants also at the same time, advising like where the financial, the yield, the returns they are getting from what they are investing into.
Exactly. And like I said, it's a big responsibility, and we have the luxury of all the developers to sell whatever we believe in, that we are confident in. So definitely, and the price stays the same whether you go directly to a developer or you go via a broker. The price doesn't change.
True.
Because the developer will never remove the broker's commission and give a lower price to its direct buyers, because they do not want to alienate the brokers.
Exactly.
Dubai is a broker-run market. Brokers decide, which project to make it go hit and which project. So if there's a developer, and developers know this very, very well.
Yeah.
Developers, that's why focus a lot on broker sales. Most of your biggest developers, like let's take Emaar being the largest developer, 95% of their sales is through brokers. If you take Damac, it's a similar number. If you take Benghazi, if you take Danube, it's a similar number. It's all 90% plus sales happen through brokers, because clients understand that if I go to a developer office, they will just sell their product. A broker will give you an overall view of the market and the future, and we will be there for them when they want to resell, when they want to manage, when they want to rent, whatever they wish to do with the property, handovers. We can take care of that entire process. We're a one-stop shop solution for the client.
Exactly. Right now, which segment excites you the most for the next 3 years, like ultra luxury, branded residencies, off-plan communities, or income generating assets?
So for me, we focus a lot on off-plan. So new developments that are coming on board. Why? I'll tell you why as well. Previously, we were very focused on ready properties. By the way, even today, 25% of my sale comes from resale market, which is ready property, because a lot of our client stock we resell. But in terms of our focus, has been, like I said, we chase value. And today's market, we're seeing value in off-plan sales. Just in our annual report, we mentioned the percentage difference. So around 60 to 70% of the sale of last year was off-plan, which is new projects. Why? Because pricing is more attractive, more value is seen. New developments are being built with modern facilities, modern amenities. The buyer today in Dubai is very different from the buyer 10 years ago. The buyer today expects a different caliber of luxury, a different caliber of amenities. Previously, we never saw buildings with 40, 50, 60 amenities. This segment wasn't as it is today. So the new properties that are coming have a price advantage, payment plan advantage, cash flow overall advantage, and a price advantage. So that's the reason why we focused more of our efforts on the new developments that are coming on board, especially with the major developers. So luckily, we are one of the top developers. We are awarded by Emaar, we are awarded by Nakheel and Dubai Holdings, we are awarded by Bingati, we are awarded by Danube, we are awarded by Samana, we are awarded by Sobha, we are awarded by Damac as amongst their top agencies. So we are one of the few agencies that has been awarded by the top 7, 8 developers of Dubai. And of course, Imtiaz as well awarded us as one of their top brokerage partners this year. So we've been awarded, we won 14 awards this year, which was a record for us. 14 awards from different developers. And these are not, random awards. These are awards by developers for achieving their highest sales targets. So luckily for us, this has been a segment that we have seen growing and we have taken advantage of. And like I mentioned earlier, I believe it's providing value for our clients. So if we find a project that we believe has the potential to double up in price in the next 3-4 years, we push that product to our clients. Because I always say one good client that is happy with your investment will bring 10 more. And we have organically grown over the last 18 years. All our growth has been organic. I was just telling one of our clients, we have investors whose portfolio I'm managing, or now we're managing as a company for the last 17 years, 16 years, 15 years, 14 years, 13 years. I have so many clients from my early, let's say 2011, 12, 13 days that I'm still managing to this day. We're still helping them rent out, sell, rent, manage all their portfolio. Why? Do they not get called by hundreds and thousands of brokers? Of course they do, every day. But it's trust. It takes a lifetime to build trust in this market. Trust is the currency, the most valuable currency for success. If a client can trust you, you have provided tremendous value and they will keep bringing you more and more clients in the future.
True. I'm sure right now you must be cracking deals so easily. When you first started, like you were saying, when you were looking for a job and it was a backup plan, when you cracked your first deal, how was it like that time? How long did it take for you to crack a deal? And normally when you're cracking a real estate deal, there are times when you feel demotivated. We're in the initial stages, when you feel like, okay, meetings are not happening. It takes time to get meetings. Like now you have a huge clientele, people know your name, your brand name. So it's easy. So that time, did you ever feel demotivated?
I don't think it ever, by the way, I agree with you that it gets easier with time. Today when I sit in front of a client, of course, the meetings are much more easier. If I'm sitting with a 100 million dirham client, I can advise him and I can tell him where to invest and what I believe is the best. Even if I'm sitting with developers who are making 300 million, 400 million, 500 million cash, they listen to my advice because they understand that no, he has done so and so and so, so we should understand, because of his achievements and because of the amount of sales he has done in the past, they listen to my advice. But 15 years ago, of course, things were different. But one thing that I noticed, even earlier on, about my first deal, I'll come back to that. But even earlier on, luckily I had that belief in myself and working. I always say, if you're a workaholic and maybe the word workaholic doesn't sound too good, but someone who likes to work, someone who enjoys to work, whatever you're working, it doesn't matter whether you're a broker, whether you're a banker, or whether you're a doctor, or whether you are, whatever field you're in, even if it's not a professional field, it doesn't matter. But if you like to work, you put in the work, the results will come. So of course, as a broker, you see some up times and down times and in any career. But if you're someone who genuinely enjoys to work, you will be successful.
True.
It's just important that you put in the work and the results will come. Of course, now things are easier, like you mentioned. But coming back to my first deal, I stumbled upon my first deal, which was like a godsend to me. And it was on the first day I joined brokerage. It was the first few days, actually, first 2-3 days now. This is in 2006.
Okay.
My boss at that time was a very, very nice Russian lady who I'm still, on and off in touch. She's still in Dubai's real estate market. And I joined her company. I was 16 years old. She said, what the hell are you going to do being a broker at 16? What can you do? I said, no, it's my summer off. I want to work. She said, but you don't even have a driver's license. At that time, we used to own a rent-a-car company, a car rental company, and we had multiple drivers and cars, and we were always delivering cars. I said, don't worry, my mother, she owns a rent-a-car company, so I have drivers and stuff, I can get around Dubai, don't worry. And the lady saw me, she's like, okay, this young kid, she had so much business, she said, okay, you know what, it was a small company with like 8-9 people only.
Okay.
So she said, come, I'll give them some data entry work and stuff. So first few days, she got an inquiry, and we were based in Oud Mehta, close to Lancy Plaza.
Okay.
Where Lancy Plaza is, just there we had a shop. It was a retail space. And she gave me this client. She's like, there's this client, do you know Dubai Marina? And at that time, one of my best friends used to live in Dubai Marina. It was only the first 3 towers of Dubai Marina were ready at that time. The first 6 towers, only 3 of them were ready. Or 3 or 4 of them were, like the other towers were all under construction around it. And I said, yeah, I know Dubai Marina. She's like, really? I said, yeah, a friend of mine lives there. She's like, okay, take this key. Almas Tower, this is the apartment. Go and show it to a client. It was a rental requirement. I said, okay, don't worry, I'll figure it out. I took that key, I went to the development. I met the client in the lobby, went upstairs, opened the apartment door, he went in and saw it, and 10 minutes later, like, yeah, I'll take it.
Wow.
I said, okay. I called up my boss, I said, okay, he wants to take it. She's like, really? I said, yeah, he wants to take it. She's like, bring him to the office. I asked the client, do you want to go to the office? Like, yeah, let's go. He said, yeah, let's go. I said, okay, let's go. I went to the office, she did the contract, we did this rental contract, and that's it, the deal was done. And literally I said, wow, this is so easy. I said, all you need to do is open the door and go inside, and real estate is so easy. And after that I learned the hard way that no, the next deal that came took many, many months to come. Okay. But that first deal, luckily it gave me that confidence that, oh wow, this is the right, career path for me. And I remember at that time I made 8,000 dirhams. My boss gave me 8,000 just to kind of, promote me and push me. And she was a big broker doing massive land deals at that time. So for her also, she's like, okay, let's give this kid some money just so, he will be motivated and comes to the office all the time. And I remember at that time, it was a huge amount of money for me, 8,000 dirhams. I'd never seen that much money, 8,000 dirhams in one place at the age of 16, because my pocket money used to be like 300 dirhams or 400 dirhams back in the day. And to get 8,000 dirhams, I was like, whoa, what do I do with this amount of money? So it was good that I stumbled upon my first deal, but after that I realized real estate is not that easy.
Yeah,
I learned it the hard way. It took a few months for me to crack the next few deals. But luckily at that time, my friends and a lot of people in my own network were big investors, were big clients. I still remember to this date, a lot of the first properties I sold were to my friends' fathers. My university friends, their fathers, whoever I found out was buying real estate, I would go to them like, I'm a broker too. And they're like, at that time, just to kind of promote their, sons or daughter's friend, they would be like, yeah, sure, help me and put this deal under you. So luckily, throughout university, I was hustling like that and did a few good transactions. And then after that, there's always tough times in a broker's life. There's always times where, you feel like you're on top of the world and you're about to close this multi-million-dollar deal. And then the next phone call you get is the client says, oh, you know what, my wife said no. And all of a sudden you're counting the amount of commission you're going to make, and then next day you're like, oh, this is not happening. So, this is part of our life. Yeah. The other day I offered a 1.3 billion dirham plot to one of the biggest developers in Dubai. And I was like, the deal seemed like it was nearly done. And now I don't know whether it's happening or not. So all of a sudden now, at this stage though, even a 1.3 billion deal, if I lose it, it doesn't affect me at all. Yeah. I'm zero difference emotionally to me. Emotionally at that time, 10 years ago, even a 2 million dirham deal, if I lost it, it would take it away from me. I was like, I'd be sitting down thinking, damn. Today, even a 1 billion dirham deal, if I lose it, I'm like, that's okay, move on. Next. So we get very used to heartbreak in real estate.
Yeah, exactly. It's so uncertain every moment, but also at the same time, you've thrived in it.
Yeah. It's taken time and effort, but luckily, alhamdulillah, it's been a very good ride so far.
So developers are launching at a record speed nowadays. How does an investor separate genuine long-term value from hype-driven project?
So, like we mentioned earlier, finding value is very important. Finding good locations, because, or looking at the overall supply in Dubai, we want to identify key locations that we believe will show growth. For example, right now in Dubai, overall supply, 22% is villas and townhouses, 78% is apartments. Within the apartment segment, of course, there's a lot of supply, but also the price points are lower, so the buyer pool is larger. Then within 78%, only 8% is, for example, waterfront communities, so waterfront apartments. So there are certain market segments that we as brokers like to concentrate on because we believe those segments will provide long-term value and growth. However, that 8% of apartments that is on the waterfront, the price points are much higher. 22% of the supply, which is villas and townhouses, price points are much higher. So as the pyramid goes up, the buyer pool gets smaller, those properties get more valuable, but the long-term growth chances of those properties are much more higher because of lack of supply. When you go down, the remaining 70% of the supply, which is regular non-waterfront apartments, there's a lot of supply coming in. So maybe the growth in terms of value might not be as high as the villas, townhouses and the waterfront apartments, but what you will get there will be rental return and good yield. So it's not always hype, it's about understanding where market value lies. Like currently right now, commercial spaces are doing very, very well. We saw Shah by Danube Tower launch. We saw we saw Omniat launching Lumina. So those projects which were on the ultra luxury grade A office segment did extremely well, even though they were non-waterfront, but on your main Sheikh Zayed road, so your main arterial road of Dubai, we saw them fly. Those projects just came and sold out in a matter of weeks at record prices. So there are always segments in the market that we have to identify. Good value rather than hype.
So, like from an investor point of view, like nowadays, like most of the brokers recommend investing in Dubai South, and there are people who, whether they like downtown Business Bay, like rentals and all are higher in downtown Business Bay, right? So, and generally the rents will be higher here compared to the Dubai South. But of course, in the future years, if you're buying an off-front property, the rents will increase in coming year. So, do you think investors prefer to buy in Dubai South, or they would prefer to buy in downtown since the rents are high?
So, there are two very different price points, two very different locations, two completely different segments in the market as well. So, Dubai South, if you're going for apartments, you're going for, let's say, the entry level of apartments in Dubai South. Like I said, maybe your capital appreciation might not be the same as your most prime locations. However, there's something to note. Business Bay and downtown have already appreciated to a certain level, where from today onwards, to double up in value of the property might take maybe a decade. Whereas in an area like which are upcoming, not just Dubai South, but overall in the suburbs of Dubai, there are certain segments of pockets of locations where we do believe the percentage growth might be higher. Like for example, Expo and Dubai South and the new airport which is coming up and the logistics city. There's a lot of promise in that area. The government is spending a lot on the infrastructure in Dubai South. So with the government, where they're spending on their infrastructure, you will see those areas develop and bloom into much more developed areas. So if you're investing today in Dubai South, you're still amongst the early investors within that area. So you will see a larger percentage of property growth. These areas, I believe, have now come up to a certain value, all right, like downtown and Business Bay. And by the way, there's still Dubai Creek Harbour, which is right next door, which is developing. Then you have Maidan right across the street, which is developing. So, the value has already appreciated to a certain level where we think that, what I think personally, that the percentage growth might be higher in Dubai South than Business Bay and downtown.
As for someone entering the Dubai market for the first time in 2026, what is the one mistake that still costs people the most money?
If they buy with the wrong developer in the wrong location, and like you mentioned earlier, get sucked in by the hype and don't consult with a professional. I'm not telling you just to come to our agency, but go to find the right broker and get the right advice. A lot of people have come to Dubai and made massive mistakes just because, like you said, they focused on the advertising billboards, or they just saw some videos being made by brokers and then they chose to invest in those projects. No, sit down, Sit down with numbers, sit down with the amount of supply, look at the current market rentals for similar properties, look at the current sales value of similar properties in similar locations, and do a proper analysis before you purchase a property. These are mistakes that new people do. Well, they'll just see a beautiful billboard, a beautiful render. They'll be taken around in a fancy car and be dined out at a nice restaurant and end up making a purchase that they will regret later. So getting the right advice from the right consultant or professional or broker is very important, and that is a huge mistake that could cost you millions of dirhams. So be careful with whose advice you take.
True. You handle some of Dubai's most expensive and high-profile properties. At that level, these no longer, just about a price. It's more about trust, discretion, timing. So, what does it actually take to close a high-value transaction in today's market?
So, why would someone with 200 million dirhams go to a broker that, let's say, doesn't have enough experience or doesn't have enough knowledge? What separates us, let's say someone who's doing good in brokerage and someone who's starting off, is a difference in knowledge. The guy who has 200 million or 300 million to invest, he's very careful on whose advice he takes. He's a very smart guy. He's been bombarded by agents. He's been bombarded by consultants. He's been bombarded by bankers giving him advice. But he's very smart, because obviously it takes a smart person to make 200 million, right? So they can see through who is giving him good advice and who is just doing this for making that quick commission. So of course, as you progress in this field, your knowledge increases, your database of client increases, and trust me, if you keep working hard and keep focusing on good clients and making sure you're providing value to them, because those big clients don't just come by looking at an Instagram video or don't just come by watching you on social media. They come from referrals. A lot of my biggest clients have come to me via my current client referrals. All right, so you have to build that network over time, and luckily in a city like Dubai, even though there is a lot of competition, there are so many people with that sort of money that you can attract and you can work with. So I do believe this is a city with unlimited opportunity, and it's very much possible to find those right people to conduct such high-level transactions.
And I feel the brand name, of course, when you create value, trust among your clients, your brand name builds. And definitely, if someone has to buy Prada, they'll go to the Prada showroom. Why? Because they give them that kind of value. So once you have that brand name as well,
100%.
So
they understand that you're someone who has done such transactions. You're someone who can advise on such transactions. If you've done land transactions, if you've done development transactions, they know that you are the right person to get advice from, because these billionaires, they're very careful on whose advice to take. I always say advice is very cheap. People are willing to give it very easily.
True.
So you, as someone who's taking advice, needs to be very careful on whose advice you're taking. Don't take that person's advice who's willing to give it very cheap. So be careful. And these billionaires, they're very smart guys. They've made that much money. They've taken lots of risks and taken the right business decisions. So they're very careful, and they understand people, and they understand who's actually providing them good value, and they can see through. They can see through that who's genuinely someone who's giving them good advice and who's someone who's not.
Is there one deal that challenged you the most and ended up teaching you a lesson you still apply today?
There's been a lot of deals in the past, nearly 2 decades that I have been doing real estate. But there have been lots of deals that have taught me, like I said, a lot of lost deals that have taught me that don't count my commission before it comes. They've taught me, mistakes that I might have done in terms of my presentation skills, and it helped me improve those presentation skills. There's times that clients who've shopped around with me ended up buying through another broker. That led in a lot of heartache. That also taught me some very valuable lessons. And then of course, over the years, I realized what were mistakes that I was maybe making in my presentation skills that helped me as well. But I can't really think of one particular deal which is standing out. I mean, now we do over, we clocked nearly 1,000 deals this year, in Springfield.
That's impressive.
So nearly 1,000 people that bought or sold real estate through us in terms of transactional volume. So there's been so many deals. Every day there's new lessons that we learned, and it's a dynamic market, and luckily at the scale that we're operating in right now, there's so many interesting people that you meet. There's so many interesting brokers that I meet in my office. There's so many interesting deal stories that I sit through every day that teach us and build us on a daily level. I always say we have to keep learning. When I meet my friends who are doctors or my cousins who are doctors, I have a lot of cousins who are doctors, and they tell me, oh, we're always studying throughout our life, and I tell them, we're the same. As real estate brokers, we're learning every day. There's new projects coming up every day. There's new experiences with clients that teach us a lesson every day. So as a broker, we have to be ever evolving, and we keep learning. But there's lots of lessons that I've learned throughout the years, so there's nothing in particular that I can think of at all as of right now.
You run one of the largest YouTube channels here in real estate in Dubai at a time when buyers are researching more than ever before. How has content changed the way real estate is sold in the city?
It has changed things in a massive way. Like I said, there's over 90,000 brokers in Dubai today. So for someone to stand apart from the rest, we need to build that rapport and trust prior to the actual physical meeting with the client. So me having this YouTube channel, for example, it's made my life much more easier because people follow me prior and they have seen that, for example, we won awards with many developers. We have done some of the biggest sale transactions in the city. We've done, we are constantly selling over. We've just clocked in 400 million worth of sales in December. These are ongoing things that people see on social media prior to the meeting that they come over here. So like I said, as a real estate broker, we're selling trust, and the rapport building becomes a lot more easier when we create content. So at least talking about what we've done, what we've achieved. I'm not talking about the joking, funny content. Of course, it's sometimes nice to watch that as well. But if you build actual value through your content, because everyone's sitting on their phones today. So it's transformed the game and it's become an extremely important part of our business. And I think every broker in Springfield, I push everyone to make content now. It's become a part of our corporate strategy, is to build our agents' personal brands, because it makes the business, it makes the meeting with the client a lot more smooth and a lot more easier, and it builds trust a lot more faster. And that's why a good broker who's good in content can do so much more business than someone who doesn't.
True, I've heard so many stories. I think I even came across yours also, one story where you mentioned you get so many clients out of your real estate, stories which you post on your Instagram.
Yeah. All the time. I close transactions every month, from month after month after month, week after week, from my personal social media, the people that just drop me a DM now, and then I have someone in my office who, and of course, takes those, reads the messages, comes to me, discusses them with me, and then we pass it on to our own agents in Springfield. And then they close the deals, because of course it takes a lot of time and effort on every client. So I personally don't have that kind of time to invest with individual clients, but social media has transformed the game.
Definitely. And I believe in every field we would say that, not just real estate.
Your field, you're doing so well because of the content. People are seeing you online. People are seeing your content online. They know who you are today. When you walk into a room, people have that respect, and they have that, they have that, that trust feeling that, I know this person. It makes the conversations easier. And I'm sure in every field, like you mentioned, it plays a huge advantage.
For brokers watching this, what's more important today, being visible or being trusted?
Being visible or trusted is a trick question. But I would say being trusted is more important, because if you're the most visible person on social media, but if you're actually sitting down across the table from a client and the client can't trust you or can't trust your advice, you lose the deal. So you might have a lot of people coming into your funnel of sales, but no one actually leaving it because nobody trusts you enough. So being trusted is more important, but only being trusted doesn't make sense also, because you need visibility in today's market, to stand apart from the noise and the crowd. So unless you're not visible, you're not going to have people to sit down with to, show that you're a very trustable person. So definitely, if I had to rate both of them, trust would be number one. Visibility is also equally important.
How do you personally balance leadership, content creation and family life in a city that never really switches off?
So it's actually easy to do it in a city that never switches off, because you can do everything and still, you can go out with the family and there's still enough things to do even after 8 p.m., 9 p.m., even after 10 p.m. there's things to do. So luckily that actually helps in being in a city that never switches off. But I think time management is the most important thing in life. So whether it's, your family, like I have 2 kids who are the most important thing to me in my life, so me spending time with the kids is the most important thing for me. So even if it's a long day at work, I make sure that I go and spend quality time with them, because that's my, stress release. I don't believe in all the stress, but still, if there was such a thing as stress release, that's my kids. That's me spending my time with my kids. So I find it very, very important to balance life. I look at the most successful people around the world and they're doing everything. They're running 8 companies, 10 companies, and I look at myself and I'm only running 1. There's Jeff Bezos there who's running all sorts of, there's Elon Musk that has 10 different verticals, making cars, going to space, making the boring company and doing all of those things and managing his life. So who are we? So I believe that everyone is gifted with 24 hours in the day. Now, how you use those 24 hours is up to you. How much you wish to sleep to live a healthy life. Those who don't sleep enough is also bad. So I believe in my beauty sleep. Make sure that I have my 6 to 6.5 hours of sleep. I'm an early riser. I believe to be successful, you have to wake up early. If you don't wake up early, I don't see a lot of people who wake up late are very successful in life. Because those early morning days prior to the hustle bustle of the day, you can get a lot of things done. For me, dropping my kids to school is very important. For me, going to the gym, I never skip gym. I train with a trainer. I might not look like the face of fitness, but I train with a trainer at least 4 to 5 times a week. So, and it's always in the morning. The best client for my trainer, I haven't changed my trainer in the last 5 years. Literally it's the same guy 4 to 5 times a week, because it's just a part of my day which helps me feel like I'm leading a successful life, and I have to be healthy in order to operate at this level. Then starting the day early, the same 24 hours, how you manage it, making sure you leave and you can do more in those 8 to 9 hours that you have in the office, that is the real game changer. Then you will have enough time. And take out the non-important tasks in your life, because those end up sucking away a lot of your time. And then people don't have time for their family. People don't have time for their kids. People don't have time to go out. People look at me on my social media like, Farooq, how do you go out? You're going out every night. You and your wife. Luckily, I love to go out. My wife loves to go out. We both love to go out. And we both love to do, of course, 10 years together now, we love to do the same things also. So, and we both are very social people. So I love to maintain a very, very busy social life. And I like to enjoy life as well. We like to travel, we like to do all of that. But there's a balance. You have to make a balance. The first 10 years, okay, I was, spending a lot of time and effort, maybe more. But after kids, I realized that no, now I need to bring a little bit more of a balance in my life. It doesn't mean that you slow down at work. It just means that you make those 8 to 9 hours that you're working, you make them a lot more productive, and you try to get, do tasks that have the highest return on that time.
Agreed. And when it's like you're able to balance your work life, which is very important. Otherwise, it gets very monotonous for anyone to just keep on working.
You'll get burnt out.
Yeah.
You'll get burnt out. What are you going to do with earning money and success? But if you can't enjoy it, you can't take time. What you'll enjoy it when you're 50 years old. I don't want to enjoy life when I'm 60, 70. I want to enjoy life now. I want to enjoy money now. I want to go on vacation now. I want to spend time and enjoy my kids' younger years now.
Exactly.
So I believe in work hard, play hard, and spend time with your family.
Yeah. Like otherwise, a lot of people, I remember a few of them are of this concept. Abhi, right now I just want to work and then I retire and enjoy my life. Even I don't believe in such a concept.
See, I believe in when you're starting off, you have to spend a lot of time. You can't, I had to do a lot of sacrifices of my social life in the beginning when we were struggling and getting things off the ground. And there was a lot of struggle that went into this. I'm not saying that I used to spend 5 hours, 6 hours at a stretch with my friends. I didn't have that luxury. I have always maintained a very good social life, but there were sacrifices that you have to do. There's a difference between managing your time well and making time for everything and sacrifice. If I know that if I stay beyond midnight out, which I'm really enjoying at a party and I'm really having fun, but I know in the morning I have my gym session at 7. I have to drop my kid to school, and I have to go to the office. But right now I'm having a great time at this party. So let me just stay for another 2-3 hours. Then I know I screwed up my next day. If I screwed up my next day, I know the return on my time will go down. So there are sacrifices you have to do, but you can do everything in moderation. I believe that. You can maintain a healthy social life in moderation. You can, spend good hours with your kids rather than just spending a lot of hours. Because I don't have the luxury of spending 5 to 6 hours with my kids every day. I only get those 2 hours max on a weekday. And on the weekend, I get a lot of time. Sometimes also 1 hour I get with my kids. That's it. So I try to do activities and fun things with my kids, that are memorable for my kids. So that's the thing you have to do. You have to manage your time in a very good way.
When the week finally slows down, how do you unwind?
So, like I said, we have a very active social life. Me and my wife, we love to go out. We love to eat out. Saturdays, I used to work every Saturday of my life. Just in the last 2-3 years, since my son turned, now my son's 4, but after he turned 2 years, then I started taking Saturdays off. Not completely off, I take like sort of half days, but I love to take my kids out. So every activity during the mornings of Saturdays and Sundays revolve around kids activities. So I'll take them out to the beach, I'll take them out to a nice restaurant, I'll take them out to a nice kids play area. It's always around the kids. And the evenings are for me and my wife. Then we like to go out, we love to eat out, we love to go out with friends. There has to be, my wife always comes, she's like, Farooq, every weekend you come to me and you tell me, okay, what's the plan? Because I need a whole plan. I need Saturday morning activity, Saturday afternoon activity, Saturday evening activity. I need Sunday morning activity, Sunday afternoon activity, Sunday evening activity. She's like, Farooq, you put so much pressure on me that every weekend I need to plan for you. But that's how I like to do it. I like to plan everything. Like by Thursday, I'm like, acha, weekend ka kya plan hai? She's like, weekend ka plan? Abhi se I'm like, oh, yeah. Because she's become tuned. She knows Saturday morning we'll be going out for breakfast here. Then lunch we'll go for this kids play area and we'll have fun. Then you put the kids to sleep and then in the night we'll go out for dinner over here. So my whole weekend is planned, but I like to do a lot. I don't like to just laze around in the house and just sit, watch TV and, just relax. No, I don't like to do that. Even weekends I like to be out and about and just make the most of my time.
That's great. I can actually say that you are living your life at the fullest, doing great at work and then living your life as well.
I love to go out. I love to party. I love to have fun. I love to go out to restaurants. I love to do lots of kids activities. I'm not the guy, I can't sit down. Like I can't sit down at home and, okay, what do I do? Do nothing. Maybe in the evening I'll watch a TV movie or something like that, show or something. But otherwise, my unwind is going out and having fun.
Who has been your biggest pillar of support throughout your journey?
So throughout my journey, I say my family has been my biggest support. Running a family business and being part of a family business. So my father started this company in 2008. So my father has been the biggest motivator, pillar of support for me. He's always pushed me, in the forefront, in the limelight, in the business as well. And I think he's been one of the biggest strength and pillars of success. And of course, my mother had a big role to play from childhood, I think, to build whoever I am today and to see such levels of success that honestly I never imagined that we would be in such a position that we are in today, with, alhamdulillah, with God's grace first and foremost. But we never imagined that this was also in the realms of possibility. My mindset didn't reach where I reached today in the beginning of my career. So I say all of this is thanks to the fact that my mother made me a dreamer. She always dreamed. She always said, I've always had big dreams for my kids. So it's my mother's dreams that she kept telling me, I'm dreaming. And that's what I'm doing with my son today. I sit down with him, I say, okay, when we go to school in the morning, we pray all our Quran ayats, and after that we do dua in the car. So a lot of my duas in the car are what I'm trying to feed into his brain. He's 4-year-olds now. I said, okay, I'm praying that Hamdan becomes the best in school. He says, Ameen. Then I tell him, I pray that Hamdan becomes the best in sports. He said, Papa, I don't like this sport. I said, no, say pray, inshallah, I'll become the best in cricket. He said, okay, Ameen. And then I tell him, pray that Hamdan will become the biggest businessman in the world. Now he's realized that, okay, my Baba wants me to become the biggest businessman in the world. So, you instill these values early on, and that's what my mother always did with me. She said, Farooq, you will be very successful. I know, I've dreamed my sons are going to be like bigger, the biggest. So I felt, okay, this is my parents' expectations that I have to do. So somewhere subconsciously, it was there. And then my father's support. Then of course, now, being blessed with such a good wife, I think now she's become one of my biggest motivators and biggest pillar of strength. And I'm a very family-oriented guy. for me, my mother, and we live in a joint family also. So that itself, so we are surrounded by family. So I'm just blessed that I've had such family support around me and love from the family that's really helped me to progress in my business. And big cheerleaders at home, huge cheerleaders in the face of my parents, in the face of my wife and my siblings as well.
Great. If Springfield were starting today in 2026, what would you do differently in terms of technology, hiring or branding?
So in today's market, branding has become very important. It's become relatively easier to brand yourself in today's digital landscape as compared to 15 years ago when we started. 15 years ago, to get branding, you had to pay for Gulf News, for Khalij Times, for the big news publications to publish your brand name. Today, with a mobile phone, you can brand yourself. And you can become a TikTok sensation, you can become an Instagram sensation. So if I was starting today, I was just focus on social media, because that's the only way that my brand could become something with relatively lower investment. So I would double down on my social media strategy. I would be completely focused on marketing and building my brand. And of course, if I built something that was known in the market, then hiring becomes much easier. Hiring as a new company, I remember all the challenges I faced. From the time of 2008 up until 2017, the first 10 years of my business, we didn't cross the 30 employees mark. We weren't more than 30, 35 people. Today, in 2025, our count is over 200 people. And this year, after opening 2 more offices in Dubai and 1 more office in Abu Dhabi, we are aiming to take this count up to 350 people. So now we are really going into the full growth mode, because hiring 10 years ago, I remember what a challenge it was for me. People didn't want to work. They're like, who are you? What have you done? How will you support me? How will you do? Today, when they see the environment, when they see the people making millions of dirhams, ringing the bell on a 100 million dirham deal, on a 50 million dirham deal, on a 60 million dirham deal week after week, and making millions of dirhams in commission. Our millionaire group that we flew to Thailand this year was 33 people. So when people see, wow, there's 33 salespeople in this office that have made over $1 million dirhams this year, that they're flying out to Thailand for 5-day all expenses paid trip. They understand that, wow, okay, I want to be a part of this organization. I want to be a part of this place. So today it's become very easy to hire. But for someone who's starting off, I'll just double down on the content strategy and branding. And of course, hiring will be challenging in the beginning, but it'll get easier once you've built some sort of a brand.
And do you think, like nowadays, I've come across few people who say that we prefer hiring Gen Zs more than millennials. So do you also believe in the same?
So depends for what roles. If I think for a broker, I think having some sort of a level of maturity is very important.
Okay.
Gen Zs are, of course, they are good with technology, but not just because I'm not a Gen Z and I'm a millennial that I'm saying this, but I feel like they sometimes take things for very granted. They don't want to work as hard as the millennials, because we lived through a tougher time. I think that and also as a broker, by the way, it's not just because of the field. I think it's because of the field that I'm in also. As a good realtor, you need someone who's had some sort of an experience. If you've had over 10 years of professional experience, it doesn't matter in whatever field you're in, you've reached that level of maturity. Even when clients are coming to you and asking you, where should I invest this 5 million dirhams or 6 million dirhams or 10 million dirhams, they want to sit with someone who's a little more mature, who's lived, who's had some experiences in life that have taught him certain things. So that's the reason why I personally, we prefer, when hiring realtors, to hire millennials rather than Gen Zs.
But at the same time, like you said, content is very important. Like we all know, right? When it comes to Gen Zs, what I believe, my sister, she's a Gen Z, and when she tells me, if your thumbnail looks like this, I'm not even going to click on this, because these days people like this. This is the kind of thing people like to watch and everything. So there are a lot of ideas which we get from Gen Zs also 100%, at the same time.
The youngsters are the ones, like our content team. We have a massive content team in our office. They're all Gen Zs. I do not like to hire anyone who's older than a certain age, because I know they do not have the ideas and they do not
Exactly.
know what's trending when it comes to content.
Yeah.
But when it's a broker, because like I mentioned, trust is more important than visibility.
Oh, yeah.
So if you're sitting across the table and someone thinks, man, I can't trust this 25-year-old, even though I started I started at a younger age than that, but there is a level of trust. It takes,
Got
when
it.
they see a mature individual across the table from you, advising them on their property to buy, and they're over a certain age, let's say above 30 years old, they feel, okay, you know what, there's a level of maturity. Also, our buyer pool, a lot of your real estate buyers are also above the age of 35. Your general property buyer is between the age of 35 to 60. So they're slightly older people, right? You don't have 22-year-olds coming and buying real estate. So most of your clients are above 35. So they can connect better with
Yeah.
people who are slightly older. So if you're, let's say, a 35-year-old and you see a 21-year-old coming and telling you to buy this property or that property, you might feel like, I'm not sure whether this is the right person I should take advice from. But there are some youngsters who are very, very successful.
If you could give one piece of advice to your younger self starting Springfield, what would it be?
What would my advice to my younger self be? So first, before I come to the advice part, I want to say that I'm very blessed to have lived this journey. And if I look back at my 15, 16, 17 years of my career running Springfield and my past experience as well, I think every step of the way taught me something, it taught me a lesson, and which led to where we are today. Maybe very explosive, quick growth might not have allowed us to be sustainable the way we are today. All right. So I feel like every age, every experience taught me something important and valuable. And if I had to rewind my life 15 years ago, I would live it the way, alhamdulillah, that, not that I'm very, very old, but, I'm at the age of 36. If I had to rewind back 15 years and live it again, I would live it the same way. But if I had to give advice, I would advise myself to take a bit more risks when it came to investing on my business and invest in my people. So I feel the first 6-7 years of my real estate life, I pushed for business more from an individual perspective. So I was selling. There was a time where I remember 80% of the company's business was me individually. What deals I was closing was 70 to 80% of the overall business of the company. So I wasn't focused on our people. I was just focused on myself. My clients, my deals, I'm running around town trying to close as much transactions as possible because I felt that this is where I'm going to make money from. These agents who are working on the company will just bring in some amount of business, but it will not help.
Got it.
I made that switch, let's say about 10 years ago. I felt if I made that switch a little bit earlier, when I started investing more of my efforts in training people, in teaching people what I had learned, and in trying to grow the organization, grow the infrastructure that protects and creates that environment to make the people grow. I wish I invested in that earlier. So if I was my younger self, I would say, of course, learn, because without learning you can't teach. So learn, but also invest more time in teaching your broker, because today a lot of my time goes in terms of teaching my sales staff or guiding them. I always say our Springfield Academy has become the backbone of the organization, because how we are able to teach our brokers as to how to sell, how to advise, how to learn, how to constantly study new projects has led to our success. Because if I'm able to teach 200 people, they are able to go in the market and sell a lot more than I individually will ever be able to. So if I wish I learned this lesson earlier on, it would have helped me scale up my business a little bit earlier on than when we did. But alhamdulillah, the journey has been amazing, and it's a long road ahead as well. Inshallah. Inshallah.
So now I'm gonna start with quick rapid fire round with you.
All right.
Global city you love besides Dubai?
New York and London.
Villa or penthouse?
Villa.
One gadget you cannot live without?
My phone.
Platform you use the most right now?
Instagram.
Most unforgettable property you have sold?
A villa in the Palm.
Weekend in the desert or weekend on a yacht?
I don't love yachts, and I don't particularly love going out to the desert either or, honestly. Maybe a yacht. Maybe a yacht. It's less messy than the desert.
Okay. One luxury you would give up easily?
One luxury I'd give up. I love my luxuries. I don't know what luxury I'd give up easily. One luxury I'd give up easily. I don't know. I don't want to give up any luxury.
Yeah, that's also fine.
I can't think of any luxury I'd like to give up. I've worked hard for the luxuries I live in. Why would I give them up?
I agree. Actually, no one would want to do that.
I had to give up something. I'd give up something, but I don't know. It's a hard question.
Your biggest I made it moment?
When we opened up this office, which was 10,000 square feet, I felt, wow, I made it. When I came to we had two small offices of 2,000 square feet, so it was 4,000 square feet. But the moment we moved into this office, which was about 3.5 years ago, that's when I felt like, it was in 2022, I felt like, wow, when we had a space for over 150 people, I felt like, wow, this is the I made it moment. I was proud of what we had achieved, and I felt that Springfield had arrived as a big brand.
One word to describe Farooq Syed.
Hardworking.
From your conversation, I can say that. And someone who lives life.
Yeah. Enjoys life, and someone who believes that hard work is just, I'm a hard worker because the reason I use that word is because I love working. I love working. If you gave me a choice that, relax, don't work, now you're good. No, that's not relax for me. I like to work. This is my life. I like to work. Even if I'm going out, it's like I'm working.
Yeah.
If you ask my weekend plans, they're so busy, you're like, man, what the hell? When are you winding down? I don't believe in that. I'm a hard worker. I like to work. If I had to define myself, I'm a worker. I'm that ant who's working throughout his life, then one day it'll die.
Yeah, I think your Instagram itself is a content. I also take inspiration. Sometimes even I wonder, content, I should be consistent like this,
That's a hobby and a blessing that we all have. Enjoying to do social media.
But I hope I become more consistent, honestly, than I am. Inshallah. So thank you so much, Farooq, for joining us.
Pleasure. I know it was a very fun conversation. Thank you for coming and taking the time out to come down to our office and to host me. Thank you so much. It was a lovely conversation.
It was lovely with you too. Thank you so much.